There is a worsening cycle of violence in Jerusalem and the West Bank over the past month. 7 Israelis and 41 Palestinians have been killed in a spate of stabbing attacks and shootings. Yesterday, 4 Palestinians were shot dead after allegedly trying to carry out knife attacks against Jews. Well, joining me now to discuss this is the acting Israeli ambassador to the UK, Eitan Na'eh. Very good afternoon to you. What is behind this recent spiral in violence?
I think the root of this spiral of violence is what was usually at the root of these eruptions, and that is incitement, religiously motivated, to turn this conflict into a religious conflict. We saw it before, and we're seeing it now again. We saw it in the 20s, we saw it in the 30s, yet again.
It goes back to the last few weeks, doesn't it, of rumours surrounding what is a holy site to both Muslims and Jews, known as Temple Mount to Jews, and the Al-Aqsa Mosque to Muslims. And there was a belief by some that Israel planned to relax the rules surrounding Jews' rights to visit that specific area. Was there any truth to those rumours?
No, there is no truth in that. Israel said time and again that it won't change the status quo on Temple Mount. And I remind you again, this is not the first time that we hear this despicable lie about Israel trying to change the status quo or danger to Al-Aqsa. We had it before in 1929, in 1936. It was always a call for action to the Palestinians, incited by the leadership. We saw it then and we're seeing it now.
Is there perhaps a minority within Judaism that does want to challenge the arrangement and assert a Jewish right to visit that site?
I think that the government made it very clear, and Prime Minister Netanyahu acted very promptly in order to make every effort to calm the situation on Temple Mount.
Is there a degree of social media playing a part in the spate of attacks on both sides?
I think you can find incitement on social media in the Palestinian side. You can see it in the official media. You can see it on television. You can see it in the newspapers. You can see it in schools.
And what impact is it having?
A very huge impact. You see these youngsters going out to the streets, brandishing knives, stabbing Jews or attacking and murdering innocent Jews. Again, not for the first time, with the same type of incitement.
The UN has criticised last week the heavy-handed approach by the Israeli security services with the security crackdown leading to the deaths of demonstrators during clashes. Have the Israeli security services been heavy-handed, in your view?
I think the security services doing what every security service around the world would have done, facing such danger. When you see somebody waving a knife, just about to stab you or stab another person, you don't have time to ask them what exactly are their intentions. You have to act, and you have to act promptly. The instructions won't be any different here in London, in Washington, New York, or anywhere else.
The violence that we've seen over the past few weeks is different, isn't it? It's not the work of no militant groups. It's random attacks by individuals who seem to be acting without planning or organisation. Is Israel struggling to formulate a convincing response to stop this?
I think that it's not just up to Israel to do that. I think it's the responsibility of the international community to get to the root of the problem, to understand what is the root of the problem before trying to solve it. And the root of the problem is refusal to accept Jewish right for self-determination. The problem is incitement, and before we actually deal with incitement, either by Israel, we are doing it proactively, or by the international community, we won't get any different results than we got in the last 90 years.
Is Israel, on the other hand, of the other side of that coin, interested in accepting what's at the root of the Palestinian issues? Many feel a persistent sense of resentment, perhaps at continuing Israeli occupation, and perhaps this is fueling the violence.
We keep hearing it from the international community, but I'll have to remind you that whenever an offer was on the table, be it 1937, the first partition plan that was offered by the British, the Peel Commission, whether it's 1947 by the UN, whether it's by Prime Minister Barak in 2000 or Prime Minister Olmert in 2008, whenever an offer was on the table, we saw a rejection first and then an increased violence by the Palestinians. We saw it in 1937 and we saw it again, we're seeing it again now. Or remember the Second Intifada in 2000. It was just after a very extensive Camp David peace talks with a very extensive offer on the table.
You didn't mention any offers by the current Prime Minister, Benjamin Netanyahu. Is he interested in peace? Is he interested in a two-state solution?
He said it repeatedly. He said it in 2009 and recently here in London in front of members of the parliament from all parties. And he said it very loud and clear. We support a two-state solution.
There seems to be a lack of any peace process or political will of both sides at the moment, or indeed from the international community.
But the international community cannot always turn to Israel and asking for solutions where it's the Palestinians who reject the two-state solution. They rejected it in the past and they keep rejecting it. Every time a peace offer was on the table, a peace solution was on the table, they rejected it, violently so, and we see it again.
Eitan Na'eh, acting Israeli ambassador to the UK, thanks for your time today.
Thank you very much.